What's up everybody, welcome back. So in this video we're gonna add the hearing sense to our zombie character. In the last video we added the sight sense and talked about the gameplay debugger. So let's add a new sense and let's see how that works. So let's open our zombie AI controller and go to the perception component over here. We're gonna click the little plus sign to add a second sense and we can configure it over here. So let's select the hearing sense for this one and expand the settings again. So again, make sure you set the detection by affiliation and you select all three of these. And now you can define a hearing range. So I set the sight to 1500. So let's make this something different so we can see it. Let's say 2000 maybe. Not sure if it makes sense that he can hear further than he can see, but whatever. So we have the debug color again. You can change it if you like, and then you have the H and the start enabled settings, just like you had them with the sight. So that's not really anything special to configure here. So we are going to make sure our zombie investigates the location where he hears the sound. So we set up this previously, the on actor perception updated. So we're going to check if this is our enemy, and we're going to keep the check at the first position. So everything that happens here is in relation to our enemy. Now we checked if this is the sight sense. It's not. So we're going to drag off and check if we are dealing with the hearing sense. So get sense class for stimulus. And we're going to check if this is our hearing sense. So compare it and look for hearing. AI sense hearing, and we're going to plug this into a new boolean over here and make sure we connect this up to the false pin where we check for the AI sense sight. So if it's not our sight, we're going to check if maybe it is our hearing sense, and if it is, we're going to investigate this location. So first of all, we want to check if we're not already chasing the player. So get our possessed pawn and look for get follow player, follow enemy, and we're going to add a branch again. So if we are not following our enemy, and we could probably combine these into a single boolean. So let's just drag off here and do end and plug the not into the end pin and plug the end pin into the condition. So if we are hearing something and we are not already chasing our enemy, we're going to investigate this location. So we're going to drag off our possessed pawn again and do our investigate location event. And we can simply plug in the location from the stimulus. So let's just break it again over here to make it a little bit cleaner. Break stimulus struct. And we're going to get the stimulus location and plug that in here. So that should be all we need to do in here. And now to make sure that the zombie actually hears something, we need to add an event. So let's open our first person character, and I'm gonna add this at my fire weapon event. So if I fire my weapon, the zombie will know that I shot the weapon. So I'm gonna drag off here and I'm going to look for a report noise event. So report noise event. Now the noise location is simply going to be my location. So let's get actor location from ourselves and plug that into this. The loudness, let's keep it at 1 for now. So the instigator, that's me as well. So get a reference to self. And we can define the range over here. So for example, if I set this to 2500, the range and the loudness affect each other. So if I would set the loudness to 0.5 and keep the range at 2500, this will actually have a range of 1250. So it's in the description over here as well. If you set the range to 0, there's no limit. And if you set the maximum range, you have to keep in mind that the loudness will also affect the range. So if I set loudness to 2, the range would be 5000, etc. And you would also need to keep in mind that the hearing of the zombie also has a range. So if I set this to 2500, but the maximum range from the hearing sense is only 2000. So if I'm 2200 units away, he will not hear me because his range simply won't go that far. So keep those things in mind when setting up everything. And now we can also supply a tag, and that tag will return into our stimulus struct over here. So for example, if you have another zombie that's shouting from pain, you could have a different response than when I'm firing a weapon. So you could create tags, or you could use it for things like that. So if I would plug in something like hello over here, then I would be able to retrieve that over here if I simply print it. And plug in the tag. So now if I fire my weapon and I'm close enough, the zombie should be able to hear me and go and investigate that location. So let's go in game, and I'm gonna enable the gameplay debugger. So you see this yellow range over here, and that's the hearing range of the zombie. So if I get outside of the range and I fire, nothing happens. So I'm gonna press Ctrl Tab. Oh, come on. Really? That never happened before? I was going to say I'm gonna press Ctrl Tab to enable debug messages, but apparently I ejected my pawn or something. I'm not even sure what happened here. Okay, so I'm just gonna relaunch this, enable the gameplay debugger, and if I fire my weapon over here, the zombie can't hear me. So if I get inside of the range, but I'm still outside of the sight range, I'm gonna fire, and you're gonna see this hearing thingy pop up. So he heard me and he's going to investigate that location. Now nothing happens because he doesn't see me right now or anything, so that's where the logic stops. But if I would get inside range, he would continue following me from that point. So that's how it takes over. So that's pretty much all there is for the hearing sense, to be honest. There's not really much more to it. So if I do not have the gameplay debugger enabled, you can see the print pop up. Oh. Blue side, come on. So if I fire, you can say the print hello, and that's the tag that we added to the noise event over here. So you can see how that reaches the stimulus struct over here. So you can use that when you use the hearing sense. So I do not think the strength actually changes, but we can simply check it out by plugging it in over here. So if we enable the gameplay debugger now, and we enable the perception, so hearing strength is 1, so I think that's pretty much always the case, to be honest. Yeah, strength will always be 1 for hearing, so either he hears you or he doesn't hear you, and there's nothing really in between that. There we go. So that's the hearing sense. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked the video or you think you might have learned something, please consider leaving a like. I'll be back for more.